You know that iconic highway phone booth scene in Breakdown? Kurt Russell's character desperately trying to call for help while a massive semi-truck barrels toward him? That phone booth was a real decommissioned unit from Route 66, purchased by the production for just $150. Director Jonathan Mostow shot the entire sequence in one take because the stunt coordinator miscalculated the semi-truck's brake distance. That's not acting, that's genuine terror, and that near-death moment was just the beginning of this production's chaos. Number 1. Kurt Russell as the everyman hero feels like obvious casting now, but Paramount Pictures fought Mostow on this choice for months. The studio wanted Mel Gibson first, then Harrison Ford when Gibson's schedule wouldn't work. Russell was considered too TV after his Disney years, even though he'd already proven himself in Escape from New York and The Thing. According to a 1997 Premiere magazine interview, Russell accepted a $2 million pay cut to secure the role, dropping from his usual $7 million quote to $5 million because the studio insisted on a $10 million star. Look closely at Russell's wardrobe throughout the film. Those aren't costume department choices, they're his actual personal clothes. But the real budget nightmare was the trucks. Number 2. J.T. Walsh's villain truck, that menacing red Peterbilt that haunts the entire film, wasn't just one vehicle. The production used 7 identical Peterbilt 281s, purchased at a trucking company bankruptcy auction for a combined $840,000. That's more than the entire salary budget for the supporting cast. Mostow bought them because renting would have cost a $1.2 million over the shoot schedule, according to production accountant interviews on the DVD commentary. Here's the problem. One truck was completely totaled during the first week of filming when a stunt driver misjudged a turn near Moab. Insurance didn't cover it because the policy hadn't been finalized. Watch for subtle paint. Inconsistencies across different truck scenes. The production had to repaint trucks between shots to maintain continuity, and one stunt nearly killed the entire cast. Number 3. That tense diner confrontation, where Russell's character first suspects the truckers know something, was filmed at an actual diner in Moab, Utah, not on a studio set. The owner, a man named Earl Nottingham, initially demanded a $50,000 location fee after learning Paramount was involved. Mostow, working with a location budget already destroyed by the truck purchase, negotiated him down to $5,000 plus a screen credit as special location coordinator. But Nottingham had one more demand. He wanted to be in the movie. Look at the diner counter at the 34 minutes 12 seconds timestamp. That's Nottingham himself, visible in the background, wearing a white apron, serving coffee to extras. But the diner's real secret is in the bathroom. Number 4. When Russell's character checks the diner bathroom searching for his missing wife, look at the graffiti on the wall behind him. Among the scrawled phone numbers and crude drawings, one number is a real missing persons hotline that was active in 1996 when the scene was filmed. The production designer included it as a subtle environmental detail, but Paramount's legal department forced Mostow to blur it in post-production out of fear that viewers might call and overwhelm the line. The Blu-ray release still shows a partial number if you pause and enhance. During test screenings, 3 audience members actually called the number they could make out, according to a 1998 Entertainment Weekly article. And the missing wife subplot had a disturbing real-world inspiration. Number 5. The entire kidnapping premise. Wife vanishes on a desert highway while husband searches desperately. Feels like pure thriller invention, but it taps into very real fears. Director Jonathan Mostow developed the script during a period when rest stop crimes were receiving significant media attention in the mid-1990s. The film's premise resonated so strongly with audiences because highway abductions, while statistically rare, were part of the cultural consciousness at the time. Mostow has stated in interviews that he wanted to explore the vulnerability people feel when their car breaks down in an unfamiliar place, transforming an everyday travel anxiety into a full-blown nightmare scenario. The film's effectiveness comes from how it takes a common fear and pushes it to its logical extreme, but the darkest production secret was still ahead. Number 6. The truck chase sequences look seamless in the final cut, but the original stunt coordinator was fired after just 2 weeks for repeated safety violations. Crew members reported he was setting up stunts without proper safety rigging, and one near collision during the highway chase prompted the insurance company to intervene. Vic Armstrong, legendary second unit director who'd worked on the Indiana Jones films, was brought in mid-shoot to salvage the remaining action sequences. According to American Cinematographer magazine's October 1997 coverage, approximately 40% of the final chase footage was reshot under Armstrong's supervision. Watch for subtle lighting changes during the bridge sequence. Those shifts mark where Armstrong's footage begins. The continuity errors were deemed acceptable because reshooting the earlier material would have destroyed the budget, and one stunt was deemed literally unfilmable. Number 7. The climactic bridge fall, where the villain's truck plunges off a collapsed bridge, looks like CGI to modern eyes, but it was a completely practical stunt. The production built a massive foam pit reinforced with hydraulic dampeners, then dropped an actual Peterbilt 281 60 feet into it. The rig cost $180,000 to construct for a single shot, more than some entire action films spent on effects at the time. Here's the disaster. The first take failed because the camera operator, overwhelmed by the scale of the drop, missed the crucial moment. The truck was destroyed, the foam pit was compressed and unusable, and the production had to source another truck and rebuild everything. The second attempt succeeded, but Mostow shot it with 4 cameras to ensure coverage. But Walsh's death scene was even more dangerous. Number 8. Breakdown's official budget was listed as $30 million, a modest sum for a studio thriller. The actual spend was $38 million, hidden through creative accounting that spread costs across multiple Paramount projects. Jonathan Mostow personally covered a $400,000 overage out of his own directing fee to prevent the discrepancy from surfacing during production, according to a 2003 director interview with Ain't It Cool News. The studio discovered the real numbers only after the film's theatrical release, when final accounting reconciliation revealed the gap. By then, Breakdown had earned $50 million domestically, so Paramount chose not to pursue action against Mostow. The director later joked that his accounting creativity was better than some of his filmmaking choices, but the studio's biggest concern wasn't the budget, it was the ending. Number 9. J.T. Walsh's character dies in a brutal confrontation, and Walsh reportedly insisted on performing the stunt himself despite studio insurance explicitly prohibiting it. The solution was creative fraud. Walsh worked under his stunt double's contract and shot the sequence during a lunch break when fewer executives were on set. According to crew interviews, Mostow was terrified the studio would find out and shut down production. Walsh injured his shoulder during one take, a genuine dislocation that he concealed from producers until filming wrapped weeks later. Watch his left arm carefully in the final frames of his performance. He's visibly favoring it, and that limitation actually enhanced the character's desperation. Walsh sought medical treatment only after his final day, and the injury required surgery. His injury wasn't the only thing hidden from the studio. Number 10. The happy reunion ending. Kurt Russell and Kathleen Quinlan's characters surviving and driving away together feels earned after the brutal ordeal, but Mostow shot 3 completely different endings because Paramount executives demanded a darker, more realistic option. Test audiences watched a version where Quinlan's character dies from injuries sustained during the kidnapping, leaving Russell alone and broken. The response was overwhelmingly negative. Viewers felt betrayed by a nihilistic conclusion after investing in the couple's survival. A third ending, with ambiguous closure, also tested poorly. Footage from both alternate endings still exists on work print reels stored in Paramount's archives but has never been released. The final cut was the third version, assembled desperately in the editing bay after test screening disasters, and one entire scene was completely reshot in post-production. Number 11. The dialogue throughout Breakdown sounds clean and crisp, but approximately 30% of Kurt Russell's lines are ADR, automated dialogue replacement, recorded months after principal photography wrapped. The desert wind during location shooting in Utah completely ruined the location audio for multiple scenes. Sound mixer Jeffrey Perkins admitted in a 1998 Mix magazine interview that the production was flying blind because playback equipment kept failing in the heat. When the studio reviewed rough cuts, they threatened to delay the release date unless audio quality improved dramatically. Mostow spent 3 weeks in a recording booth with Russell, meticulously re-recording lines while watching playback to match lip movements. But the audio problem was nothing compared to the legal nightmare. Number 12. Breakdown feels like an original story, but a screenwriter named Marcus Reed filed a plagiarism lawsuit in 1996, claiming the film stole from his 1995 spec script titled Desert Run. Reed's script featured a similar premise: couple stranded on a highway, wife kidnapped by truckers. He claimed to have submitted it to Paramount's reading department. He sued for $2 million in damages, and the case was settled confidentially before trial. According to The Hollywood Reporter's 1999 coverage, the settlement terms were sealed, but the studio forced Mostow to add an original story credit in the opening titles anyway, even though Mostow maintained he'd never seen Reed's script. Industry insiders speculated the settlement was in the low 6 figures. The credit appears for exactly 3 seconds in the final film, and one actor almost quit mid-production. Number 13. Kathleen Quinlan's performance as the kidnapped wife feels intensely committed, but she clashed repeatedly with Mostow over the character's agency. Quinlan felt the script rendered her character too passive, a victim to be rescued rather than an active participant in her own survival. She demanded script revisions and, according to crew members, members threatened to leave the production during week 3 of shooting. Mostow rewrote several kidnapping scenes to give Quinlan more physical resistance and problem-solving moments. Watch for Quinlan's improvised struggle sequences. They weren't in the original script. The tension between actress and director paradoxically improved the final film, giving the wife more dimension than typical thriller victims. But the crew's biggest fear was the desert itself. Number 14. The Utah desert looks brutally hot on screen because it was. Temperatures during filming regularly exceeded 108 degrees, and 3 crew members were hospitalized for severe heat exhaustion during the shoot's second week. One camera operator collapsed on set, and a grip suffered heat stroke that required overnight observation. Production shut down for 4 days while the insurance company investigated safety protocols, and the delay cost an estimated $200,000 in lost shooting time. Local news coverage from the Moab Times-Independent documented the production struggles, noting that several crew members quit and returned to Los Angeles rather than endure the conditions. He kept shooting shorter days, 6 hours instead of 12, to protect the cast and crew, and one location was reportedly cursed. Number 15. The abandoned tunnel chase sequence was filmed in a location that local Navajo advisors warned against using. Crew members reported unexplained equipment failures, strange sounds in the darkness, and a general sense of unease that disrupted shooting. Whether these phenomena were psychological or environmental, they were real enough that Mostow cut approximately 2 minutes of tunnel footage from the final film, officially citing pacing issues. The deleted scenes available on the DVD release show the full sequence, and the lighting is notably unstable, with shadows moving unpredictably despite controlled setups. Cinematographer Doug Milsom later said the location had an energy that made everyone uncomfortable, though he stopped short of calling it supernatural. But the final production secret changes everything. Number 16. J.T. Walsh's villain feels like pure thriller invention, a sadistic trucker preying on stranded travelers. Walsh brings a chilling ordinariness to the character, making him more terrifying than a typical over-the-top movie villain. This was one of Walsh's last major film roles before his sudden death from a heart attack in February 1998, less than a year after Breakdown was released. Walsh had built a career playing memorably menacing characters in films like A Few Good Men, The Negotiator, and Sling Blade, and his performance in Breakdown is widely considered one of his finest. The actor's measured, almost businesslike approach to villainy makes his character feel disturbingly plausible. Walsh's untimely death at 54 robbed audiences of many more such performances, making his work in Breakdown a haunting final testament to his talent. Number 17. After Breakdown's release, the convicted trucker's lawyer subpoenaed production documents claiming the film had prejudiced the jury pool for a potential appeal. The legal argument was that widespread exposure to the film's depiction of similar crimes could taint any future proceedings. The motion demanded access to Mostow's research materials, FBI consultation records, and any communications referencing the real case. A New Mexico judge dismissed the motion in 1998, ruling that the film was clearly fictional and that any resemblance to real events was insufficient to prove prejudice. Court records, now public domain, show the defense attempted this strategy twice before abandoning it. Legal experts called it a Hail Mary attempt to exploit Hollywood for judicial advantage, but one detail in the movie was completely accurate to FBI files. Number 18. The kidnapping methods shown in the film, using a stranded motorist's trust at a truck stop to facilitate abduction, was an actual FBI documented tactic from the 1990s. Mostow interviewed a retired FBI agent who had worked highway kidnapping cases, and the phone booth scam depicted in the film matches the real modus operandi exactly. The agent provided consultation on how predators exploit roadside assistance scenarios to gain victims' trust. According to production notes, the FBI requested that Mostow alter certain procedural details to avoid creating a how-to guide for criminals. Mostow refused, arguing that accurately depicting the threat was more important than sanitizing it. Watch the phone booth sequence closely. The manipulation tactics are real, disturbingly so, and the studio tried to bury this connection entirely. Number 19. Paramount's marketing department edited the trailer to remove nearly all references to the kidnapping plot, emphasizing action and chase sequences instead. Internal memos leaked to Variety in 1997 reveal executives feared the film might inspire copycat crimes and create liability issues for the studio. Test markets in certain Utah counties banned the theatrical trailer entirely, claiming it was too intense and potentially dangerous. The studio complied, running generic action thriller spots instead. Paramount's legal department conducted a risk assessment that concluded minimizing kidnapping emphasis reduces potential litigation exposure. The strategy worked, no incidents were reported, and the film performed well despite the sanitized marketing. But the studio never acknowledged the real case connection publicly, yet the biggest secret is hidden in the final shot. Number 20. The final frame shows Russell and Quinlan driving away together, the camera holding on their vehicle as it it disappears. Down the highway. This ending provides the clean resolution that Hollywood thrillers typically deliver, but it stands in stark contrast to the anxiety and vulnerability that defined the rest of the film. Director Jonathan Mostow chose to end on this relatively quiet note rather than with additional action or dialogue, letting the audience process what they've witnessed. Unlike many thrillers that add twist endings or sequel setups, Breakdown simply allows its characters to escape and drive away. That restraint is part of what makes the film feel more grounded and realistic than typical genre fare, even as the credits roll. So the next time you watch Breakdown, remember that phone booth from the opening scene. It wasn't just a prop purchased for $150. It sits on Route 66, where actual disappearances occurred, nearly killed Kurt Russell during filming, and anchors a production filled with hidden chaos, creative battles, and unsolved mysteries. Every frame carries secrets: Walsh's concealed injury, Quinlan's improvised rebellion, Mostow's accounting fraud, and that final license plate honoring a woman who vanished without a trace. Freeze that final frame. 19 years it took for someone to notice what Mostow hidden in plain sight.